Well, hi folks, and welcome into a new edition of This Week in Pearl, where today we're going under the dome once again with State Representative Gene Newman and Senate Pro Temp Dean Kirby. We're going to talk about a lot of things that are really kind of happening right now that really concern us. Taxes, obviously. Also, there's a bill or two that's going on about school choice that's kind of made its way through the House that's headed over to the Senate. And we're also going to cover a couple of things that Senate Pro Tem Kirby has introduced about education in our prison system. So you definitely want to catch this show, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Welcome back to This Week in Pearl. I am now joined by my normal guest for Under the Dome. That would be Senator Dean Kirby and Representative Gene Newman. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
How are we this week?
Already busy.
For President's Day.
Yeah. Well, that's not, it's President's Day, but it's not a day off for us.
Right.
Holidays don't mean anything to us.
They really don't.
We don't get holidays.
It's 90 days, and whatever happens in those 90 days happens. You can have all the holidays you want to. We're just going right on.
But you still move right on through.
Yes,
it doesn't really matter about the holidays. And I know this is the second Monday that we've had a holiday in the middle of the legislative session, and you're still working.
Still going.
How many days do we have left?
What is it, 40? It's about 44 days.
So
left.
we're halfway.
Yeah.
Almost. Well, we're halfway in days, but we're not halfway in work, actually. Because, I mean, now I'm not trying to take over here, but anyway, we've completed all of our bills. They've completed theirs. We're swapping now. We're taking the House bills, and they're taking the Senate bills. And then after all of those are amended, then a lot of them will go to conference. And so, you know, so a lot of things will die, a lot of things will be amended, a lot of things will go to conference. So in work, we're almost halfway.
Well, I know like a couple of weeks ago we talked about this. We talked about how we were coming up on that deadline of bills coming out of committee.
Yes.
So we hit that.
Yes.
And so you said there was about 300 that survived in the House, and
same,
I think
for a little over 300 in the Senate.
So now that has all happened, and now y'all have actually made the
Yeah, we finished. We passed all the bills. Mm-hmm. We actually today was the last day that you can move a motion to reconsider.
Okay.
And if they don't remove the motion to reconsider, the bill's dead. Whatever bills have passed as of today, they're transmitted to the Senate or to the House.
Yeah, we've got maybe two that were called back up, and then a motion to reconsider last Friday, so we'll have to deal with those today. Mm-hmm. And then we've got like 19 resolutions, and that's about it on our calendar, really. And then, like I say, we'll start committee meetings this week, taking up the House bills in committee, and then, of course, the next week we'll be on the floor.
We got to deal with them fake appropriations bills first.
Oh, well, we do have appropriation bills. I forgot about that. Just a little thing like, you know.
appropriating some money.
Appropriating some money to agencies and schools.
In schools and whatnot and things of that nature. We'll talk about how y'all work all that out in a future episode.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
That will be interesting, won't it? So a couple of things I know that survived that we were just talking about off camera. We'll start with you, Representative, was school choice. Y'all have changed. Y'all have had several bills that were introduced in school choice.
So we had a lot of bills introduced about school choice. One of them was wide open. You know, go to private school, take the money, go to private school, all that kind of stuff. That bill is dead.
Okay, good. It needs to be
dead. The sentiments of the House was it was dead. Dead.
There's no hope of resurrection.
That's not coming up this year. So
okay, good.
That one's gone. So we passed several bills. We did something on the charter school bill. They said I haven't really figured out exactly what it did, other than that it did. You know, right now charter schools only deal with DNF schools, but this would raise it to C DNF schools.
Okay.
And it changed some of the rules that they operated under. I don't believe charter schools are ever going to work here effectively, but that's what they said this did.
So this is the bill that survived.
It
right?
survived, and then another, and I don't remember. I think that was 1430. I can't remember the numbers. It was a 1430 something bill, and then other bill that passed was the so-called Tim Tebow bill, which allowed homeschool students to go to public school sports. In other words, they could participate in public school sports. Voted against that. I coached baseball for a long time. A lot of kids in Pearl know me from that.
From that, right?
So, you know, if you're going to be part of a team, you need to be part of the team. Yeah, you go to school with them. You participate with them at lunchtime. You you have recess with them, and you know you're part of the team. You don't get that. You're not going to get that from homeschool. So, from homeschool, you're going to just have kids coming in that may be real athletic, and they come in and try to compete to take positions from kids that's there every day. I don't agree with that. So that's my opinion. And anyway, the other bill,
I share it.
The other bill I'm trying to remember exactly how it works, but so what it does is it allows a student that going at one school and wants to go to another school, if the school will accept him, the school that he's coming from cannot stop him. Right now, if a student comes to Pearl and they're coming from Brandon, and the Pearl says, well, you can come here, but Brandon says you can't, then that's the end of it. They can't. Well, this bill would allow that student to come to Pearl. If Pearl said yes, then Brandon, no matter what they said, they didn't have a choice in it. So they would be able to come. And I don't agree with that. I don't. I think
you were a no vote on that too.
I'm a no vote on that because I'm still at the point where if a kid wants to come to Pearl School, he needs to come live in Pearl. The parents need to come live in Pearl and be a part of this community.
Agreed.
And that's just the way I am.
So that barely passed, basically.
That one passed. The one that absolutely failed was the real school choice, but which is their ultimate goal. Don't believe anything other than that is the ultimate goal of the school choice people. That's what they want. They want it where take public money and pay for pay for private schools. I understand that. I understand what they want. But the problem with that is our Constitution says that's not legal. And as long as our Constitution says that's not legal, that's what we're going to do as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Now, let me say, we haven't had any of those bills come out of committee, so we haven't really...
You haven't touched any of that yet.
No, we haven't. At this point, we haven't seen it all. I did make a statement that was wrong on the last show, though. I said something about... I don't remember even saying it, but I was told us, so that tells you people are watching. But that I said something about empower pushing school choice and all, and they may be, but I said something about a British gentleman that was hitting them up, and that's absolutely not true. He heads up Mississippi Center for Public Policy, and not Empower. Empower is a totally different group. I think Grant Kalen.
They seem to be pushing a lot of this.
Yeah.
There's not just them. It's a lot of different.
It's a lot of different, but I hear
Yeah.
Empower coming up a lot in
Yeah.
conversation that seems to be around this school choice.
but
And
Empower
I don't
is
really
a-
even know who they are.
Yeah, Empower's a Mississippi organization just in this state. So
Gotcha.
There's some of the things they want to do is good.
I misstated.
I mean, they're not a bad organization, but some of the things they do, they are for are good things. I just don't agree with the school choice thing.
Differencing of opinion.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sure.
That's why they make Fords and Chevrolets.
Correct. Right, exactly. So you will take up the what they've passed and sent over right now, right? That's
Yeah,
committee.
I'm sure they've
It'll-
probably already been sent over. We should have them this week, about all of them, and then
It'll
the
go to
Lieutenant
their
Governor.
education committee, and
Yeah, the Lieutenant Governor will assign them to committee. He'll double refer some of them. Some of them he'll just be singly referred.
Right.
But yeah, we'll start looking and meeting this week probably on a lot of those bills.
What? Just a gut feeling from you guys. What survives? What gut feeling? You know, the temperature in the Senate now. What survives? Do you think anything?
based on what I saw in the Senate with some of the stuff that they had introduced up there, I suspect not much of anything.
You talking about a school choice?
Yeah.
I don't think Chairman DeBar is going to take any of that stuff.
I don't think we have the votes for it in the Senate. At
So
this
even
point.
even the one that you referenced, Gene, about if Pearl was willing to accept them, you don't
Right.
even think that one's
Yeah,
gonna survive.
I mean, there could be some type of compromise where your D and F schools, that maybe they could work something out for them for failing schools. But I think that would probably be it, based on the senators I've talked to. They do not want that. So.
Do more people share the belief system in the Senate and the House that we do? That if you want to have school choice, move to that district, be part of that community.
Well,
Would that be
and
the-
it's easy to say when you live in a good school district.
Sure, it is. Don't
But-
disagree.
But there are some failing school districts and some D school districts that they feel like they should be getting a better education, and I agree, and I think that we should do all we can do to pull them up from D and F to at least a C school district.
So there was one other bill that was passed about education I forgot about, and it's a bill that establishes a committee, a study committee to look at merging school districts. You know, when they first did it, the first bill that they come out with just said there would be 82 school districts, one for each county, which Senator Kirby and I were both saying, we're not merging Pearl and Brandon. That just ain't happening.
No, that's not happening.
So,
Right.
because you got Rankin County's an A school district, Pearl's a school A school.
school
It didn't make
district,
any
sure.
sense to
No,
merge them.
no.
But and
Both very
That-
successful.
then and they finally kept looking at it, and they said, Coast was saying the same thing, and DeSoto County was saying the same thing. So they finally looked back up and said, well, you're right. There's no need merging those school districts, those big school districts like that. That didn't make any sense. But you got school districts out here where there's 3 and 4 school districts in one county, and the biggest of those districts has 500 or 600 kids in it.
I know.
It don't make any sense to be doing that. So and that's part of the reason you have all these failing districts. So you can merge those into it. So I think it's a fair plan to look at the school districts and see what districts do need to be merged.
I mean, just thinking about this, there's several things outside of school districts. Let's talk about redistricting, talking about the census that comes out and how that redistricts things. Why couldn't we do something similar with schools? Because as the population decreases or increases, specifically decreases, and I'm going to bring up one in particular. Let's take Neshoba County. Well, they have the Philadelphia City School District, which is a 2A district, and then you have Neshoba. Now, they're practically across the street from each other.
They are.
I mean, there's literally less than a mile that separates the two schools. Why do we need those two districts when their
Well,
population is technically
When
decreased?
I first got elected, I think there were like 168 or something
right?
school districts. Now we're down to like 140 something. So we've merged a lot of those school
Sure.
districts. But let me tell you, people, and especially small areas, they have real pride in their school and their churches and their grocery store. And maybe their post office, and that's about it.
I 100% agree with that.
And they don't want to lose it.
But it's not about losing the school.
This bill is not about closing schools or anything. It's simply districts. It's dealing with the districts.
It's dealing with the chiefs and not the Indians, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could take the Philadelphia school district and merge it with the Neshoba County school district, but leave the school the way that it is. Sure. Now, the reason why I even mentioned this was because I had a son teach there. He not only coached baseball there, but he also coached football and girls softball. But he taught 7th grade through 12th grade.
In Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia City School District, because they just don't have the resources. And they barely have, 600-700 students? I mean, it's really kind of sad that they're overtasking their teachers when across the street is Neshoba Central, where they could share the load, but you could still have the Philadelphia. And I'm not picking on Philadelphia. I'm just using them as an example. Right. If we had one chief instead of 2, and we had one central office instead of 2, and you could share a teacher from the high school to come over to drive a mile and teach a class at Philadelphia, it would just make sense instead of what they do now. And I'm only bringing that up because of Delta has had people move out. It's a better solution than school choice.
For advanced classes such as trigonometry and physics and those type things, it's hard to find teachers, especially in small school districts.
I just think it's a better answer instead of school choice. Let's look at maybe school district closure.
DeSoto County has 140-something schools.
Sure. One
school district.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that and it's very effective. They do a very good job up there. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and it's very effective in Rankin County for Pearl to have their own school district and Rankin County to have their own.
But I'll tell you what I said at the podium a few years ago about Pearl and Brandon merging, or Pearl and Rankin County merging. The day that Mississippi State and Ole Miss merge, I'm going to look at it.
That's it.
We'll consider it the day that those two colleges merge together.
Put them together and we'll look at putting Pearl and Brandon together.
I think it's good for Rankin County to have the rivalry with Northwest Rankin, Pearl, and Brandon that we have. And, of course, those two are both Brandon and Northwest, the same school district. I think it's good for Pearl.
And we don't have the
and because we compete, and competition's good for everyone.
Sure it is.
And we compete not just in athletics, but in academics as well. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure in Pearl schools that we keep an A school. Rankin County, they want to make sure that they keep an A-rated district. So,
I think the citizens of those school districts that are underperforming, their voice, they need to be at their school district meetings, their school board meetings, and they need to start raising their voices. Now, I'm sure some of them are, but I'm assuming that they're not. And I would think they need to get involved. Citizens need to get involved in their school districts.
Parents need
to get involved in their school district.
Absolutely.
And force change.
Yeah,
and
the biggest problem there is too many of them don't care.
That's what unfortunately. Well, we'll see how it shakes out, right? Yeah. Okay, so moving on to a fun topic of yours, Senator.
I already know what that
is. He's going to love this. I know it. Redistricting. Okay, so you've been in the news a little bit lately. You have been, and you've made the front page a couple. I mean, so tell me, where are we on redistricting?
Well, yes. Wow, we've drawn a map. I've vented it or shown it to each of the ones that may run. The map that we have right now has 12 centers running. I'll go back to explaining why those 12 centers have to run, and that was because we did reapportionment or redistricting 2 years ago. The NAACP didn't like it, and they filed suit. And the federal judges ruled that we would have to have 2 new minority districts. Now, we can't increase the number of centers, so when you do that, then that means somebody's going to be running against someone else. So it makes it very complicated, and when you form a new district and you're taking areas away from the others, if you change one precinct, if you change one person, but if you change one precinct, then that senator has to run again. So we have right now 7 in the one map that we have 7 senators in DeSoto County and surrounding areas that have to run. We have 5 in the Hattiesburg area. We've got Hattiesburg worked out. I think the courts will love what we did. I think that the senators are all happy with the drawing that we have for their new districts. DeSoto County, different ballgame. There we have some senators that don't want certain areas, or they don't want to run against each other and that kind of stuff. So, but we have a new minority district in that map, and then we have a couple senators run against each other and they're not happy. And so they're coming out with a map that where they don't have to run against each other, of course, and they're unopposed, but somebody else may have to run against someone. So it's a lot of friction there right now. And so what I've done in the last, and we've been working on this since July, by the way. This isn't something we put together the last few weeks. But anyway, they've put it together the last few weeks, what they want,
right,
after seeing what we have and what we were required to do. But we have alternative maps that are going to be offered by one of the senators. We have one by the NAACP. We have an alternate map from that's going to be offered as an amendment also for the Democratic Party or caucus. And so trying to make everyone happy and be fair and meet federal guidelines at the same time is not an easy chore, I can tell you. And they're all my friends. And so when you have to do that and you have to tell a friend, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to run against my other friend over here, it's not an easy thing to do.
No.
But anyway, we now have drawn another map. And there's only going to have to be 5 run from DeSoto County instead of 7. But it changed their districts a lot, and I'm meeting with them one-on-one to say, and I can tell you what they're saying. I don't want that area. I've never represented that area. Those people don't know me. I don't know them. And I have to tell them a story about the first time that I ran. First year I ran, I won. I had Interstate 20 north of Rankin County. That was my district. Well, again, the federal courts didn't approve that, and so we had to run again that next year. So I ran 2 years in a row. My new district was Highway 80 South. I lost everything. I had a whole new district. Started all over. I had to campaign with people that I didn't know. All that work I'd done to get elected was just, I don't say in vain, but it was, and it wasn't wasted because I had a year of representing those people, and hopefully I did a good job for them, or tried to. But anyway, that's kind of what they're looking at. They're saying, wait a minute, I'm up here in DeSoto County and you're going to move me over in Coahoma? What is this? Well, no, you still have your part up here. Yeah, but I don't know any of those people.
But you're coming from experience.
Yes, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Sure.
But anyway,
you can feel for them, obviously.
I do feel for them,
what they're going to have to do,
and it's hard, and it's like starting all over.
But you had to do it, so they can do it.
But they've got their,
right.
They've got their organization.
You didn't already do.
They have their organization. They have, they probably even have what I had as precinct chairman, subdivision chairman, to make sure that and help me in those areas. And they've got all that, and all once that's not in their district anymore, and they're over here. So
they'll make some new friends.
Yeah, they'll make a lot of new friends.
They'll make some new friends.
And it's not about being elected anyway. It's about serving the people.
Correct.
And if they'll make new friends, they'll get new organizations, and if they're doing their job now, they'll be reelected.
They'll be fine.
I say that most all of them will, but you got 2 that are doing their job. They're going to have to run against each other.
Oh
wow! And both of them's districts changed tremendously. But anyway, we've got to, after we do all this putting together and making everyone a little upset but can live with it type deal, once we get all that put together, then we got to make sure that it passes the courts. So what we do, we get all this together, we send it to attorneys, a law firm in Jackson, and they've done this for probably the last 40 years. They'll review it and say, no, the courts won't accept that, or the courts will accept that, but we're going to send it, and they do, to 3 different companies that specialize in just that.
Okay.
And they're in 3 different states. And they're nonpartisan type people, and they just look at it and make sure that we're complying with the court's rulings. Okay. Then once all that comes back, then I do the bill. And a bill's not easy. When you're doing 12 districts or 10 districts, when you're doing that, you've got to list every precinct in every district in the bill. I mean, bills like this.
That's pretty large.
And actually, of the one we've done that I've already dropped, one of the 2, we left 1 precinct out. So we got to amend the whole bill because of that one.
Wow.
I'm checking to see if maybe I can just get a.
This is a
approval.
costly endeavor.
It really is.
This is a costly.
Very
This
It's
costs
costly.
money. Lots of
millions. Yeah.
And for this to continue to drag out, it's continuing to drive cost.
Yeah, and
Because attorneys'
we were in a
hourly
really
rates
big,
are not cheap.
We were in a really big hurry to do this in the beginning because the courts actually, well, first they said when they came out with last year, said we had to run last year. Well, we didn't have time to do it,
Sure.
and so we filed and they gave us to this year to do it. So yeah, and I think your bill, I think they have to qualify for running April 25th, I believe it is. I was wanting to have it in March, qualifying deadline, give people more time to campaign. But anyway, April 25th, we're going to do the same as the House. Now, let me tell you, once we pass a bill, it's got to be approved by the House. And their bill that they've already passed comes to us, and we've got to pass theirs. The way it's all but one time, whatever the House wants, we're going to approve it. That's their business.
Sure.
That's their
Right.
representatives. It's almost a rubber stamp.
It's a rubber stamp in your
just
side.
getting it to us is the hard part, and for us to get one to them.
Right.
I would think now it is a joint. They're both joint resolutions. They're not bills as such. They're resolutions, which means the governor has no say-so in it.
Right.
At all. He doesn't set any dates.
He
The
doesn't have to
courts.
sign it. He can't veto it. He
He can't do anything. And I'm sure he doesn't like that.
I'm sure.
But I mean, that's what the court says. And they told us to make this, the court's rule that we should make this as close to as possible, if not, unless it's totally impossible, to make it like a normal election, which means August primaries and November election. So that's
Qualify by April 15th.
well, no, this is April 25th.
April 25th.
We're gonna. My plans are to do what they
I got you.
have already done.
And then you run in August.
Run in August and the primary, and then the general election.
General
in
election
November.
in November. So just keep it normal schedule.
Yeah, that's what the plan is. I'm sticking to it
Well, let's see
until the
how-
courts tell me differently.
Let's see how that shakes out over the next week there, Senator.
It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done because I'm dealing with people that I know and personalities, and I'm not just dealing with them, but I'm dealing with their constituents too. So to try to make sure what we do complies in every way with the court's ruling and is fair to everyone, and it's very difficult.
Yeah, right, because you can't please all the people all the time.
You can't do it.
There's no way. So somebody's going to be upset.
They already are.
When everybody's upset, you know you got it right.
Right. When everybody's mad, then it's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
So
there's been rumors and all this stuff. One guy even said that he was hiring an attorney and he was going to sue us, and he was going. That's not true. He just did that joking with someone,
Right.
and of course
Right.
the paper got a hold of it.
They
and
ran with it.
Oh yeah,
I read it.
Yeah,
They
it's
ran
not.
with
It's
it.
not absolutely not true. And he told the press that he was just kidding and he wasn't doing that.
They still printed it.
They still printed it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Of course.
I
Fake news.
have a button. I have a button that my assistant gave me for Christmas this year, and it's Donald Trump's voice, and then you hit the button, and it's fake news, fake news, fake news. It's pretty funny. It's a lot of fun.
I like that.
All right. Well, I can't wait to continue hearing how this goes. So we'll keep that on the agenda for the next few weeks.
This week or
as the
next
world
week.
turns.
Yeah, as the world turns, and like let's see, what was it? Like sands through the hourglass.
Sands through the hourglass.
So are the days of our
lives. That's exactly right. All right,
but
so
we're going to do the best we can do and be as fair to everyone as we can be.
So we'll see how you shake that out. We'll get an update next week.
Well, they had. Luckily, you guys only have 4 that have to run.
We got 5 running. They keep saying 4, but we actually have 5.
Well, you have 5 because you have a new district.
Right.
Yeah.
So 4 people that have to run, and then you're adding a 5th, right? So
I think it's 5 elections.
Okay.
And we have 12.
And so they're just waiting on your rubber stamp.
Yeah. And we'll probably take theirs up at the same time they take ours
I got
up.
it. So it needs to be done at the same time.
Yeah.
That'd be fine. All right, so moving on. Representative Newman, you had a bill survive that's worthy of talking about. That's moving on to the Senate, the Dignity and Safety for Women in Prison.
Yes.
So this survived the vote, moving on to the Senate. Tell everyone about that.
So if you look in other states and some of the prisons, they have had situations where they put men who claim to be women into women's prisons. And it's caused a lot of issues and when they have allowed that. And I did not want to see that happen in Mississippi. I didn't want to even though they may say that, well, it's not going to happen here, I don't want to take that chance. So I introduced the bill. I actually introduced it last year, and it got changed a good bit, so that didn't make it. But this year we stayed to the original bill. And the intent of the bill is to define man as man and woman as woman, and you cannot have a man in the women's prison, period. There are exceptions for men who are doing maintenance work or doing work inside the prison to be there, but they cannot. There's no sleeping in the women's prison, and then there's no using the restroom, joining them in the restroom, and all that stuff. That's not right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it passed pretty unanimously.
Is it based off of your birth certificate, what you're born as?
Yes.
So if you're born male,
if you're born
and you
male,
identify as female, you're going to the male prison.
That's correct.
Because that's what your birth certificate says.
That's correct.
Well, the only thing I've heard about in the Senate, I think it's going to pass without a problem in the Senate. But there are going to be some questions. And one of the questions is, I understand that there has been actually a case where a guy became a lady and went back and sued and went back and had his birth certificate changed.
Really?
So then you have to go
you can
by
do
the
that?
DNA. Then you have to go the DNA. Well, he did. I've been told.
Well, that was in another state. He had it.
Yeah.
You can't do it in Mississippi, but
right.
So we got to be careful. But we're going to. That bill's going to pass. I don't have any doubts that bill's going to pass.
So in another state, you can go back and amend
there's one court case that's happened.
Is that okay?
And you can guess which state. I have to tell you.
I can. It's one of two, either New York or California.
Probably.
The West one. So, but that's only one case, and that has not made its way through the appeals process. I don't know that that's going to stand up.
Right. I don't see how that could.
I don't either.
I mean, now they do have some leftist judges, activist judges that.
Right, but and which is probably the case with the reason they got the ruling. But I suspect because of medical reasons, if for no other reason, that they need to know what you were at birth.
Mm-hmm. I can't think anyone here that runs in any of our circles that we talk would be okay with this. Nobody's okay with men in women's prisons. I don't care if you identify as female. That's on you. That's fine. You can identify as a woman. You can identify as a cat for all I care. It doesn't matter to me. But if you were born a boy, you're a boy. If you're born a girl, you're a girl.
And I think we may have some problems here in Rankin County at Central Mississippi Correctional Facility with some problems with men and women both being in prison. If you go back and look, the Central Mississippi Correctional Facility, when it was, golly, in the 80s, I guess it passed, it was for women only, and it was a place for them to be assigned to other prisons. It wasn't a full.
What, 83, 84?
That's when it's originally built. That's when it was originally put out there. That was its purpose, and it's grown and changed and grown and changed and grown and changed. So, yeah, it's a completely full service prison now. But when it originally started, it was just a women's prison.
Facility.
Yeah.
And then when they did start the original men that came in there, that was only to reassign them to
another prison. Yeah. That's right. But now it's a full prison.
Anything you guys in the legislature have to do to amend anything to make sure that stays segregated?
Well, I mean, his bill.
Well, my bill will do that.
Oh, okay.
My bill does that.
It will do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Good bill.
You feel confident that it's going to
Oh, yeah, it's going to
survive
pass. But we're going to have some debate on it, but it will survive.
Yeah, we don't need men and women.
Yeah, I didn't get a question, not one question on the bill. And
really?
I was expecting something, and I didn't get not one question on it. So
really, so it hit the floor and passed.
It's passed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I understand our chairman's very much in favor of the bill, so it'll come out, and if it hits the floor, it's going to pass too.
Okay, all right. We'll keep that one. We'll keep on looking for that one. And now you have one in the Senate.
Well, there's one on
that deals with dyslexia.
It is. We've found out after doing studies that we have a lot of people that are in prison because of the lack of education, and they can't find a good job. And so they started checking, and a lot of those in prison, lack of education was because they dropped out of school, and the reason they dropped out of school, they were dyslexic. They couldn't read. They just could not read, and they didn't have help at the time in maybe a small school district or wherever they lived or whatever. But anyway, now we passed a bill to test the prisoners for dyslexia, being dyslexic, and we're going to start teaching them so that they can read, so they can get jobs, and they won't go back to prison. I think it's a good bill, and they turned to crime, a lot of them, because they couldn't get a job and they wanted to survive. So hopefully, we've passed that. It's gone to the House, and hopefully they'll accept it.
Okay. What do you think?
That will pass. One thing I didn't touch on when we was talking about, we passed some bills several years ago. I introduced and we passed a bill that allowed Rankin County Sheriff's Department to allow inmates to work if they were in the last 24 months of their sentence. That they were allowed to go outside and work, and out of that money they would pay restitution and their fines. But the more important thing is they were allowed to take the money that they were earning and put it into a savings account. In other words, after they paid this other, they put their money into a savings account so that when they got out of prison, they got out of jail. In this case, in Rankin County Jail, they would have money to go rent an apartment, to go buy a car, to go buy clothes.
They would have something to fall back on.
They would have something to get started on.
Sure.
So many times you'd walk out of jail and you had nothing. So that started with 25 prisoners, started with 25 inmates, and
in Rankin.
In Rankin, just in Rankin County, and then other sheriff's departments wanted to do it the next year, and we added Harrison County and Lee County, I think is what they were, and then MDOC wanted to do it, so we added MDOC. Now, remember, there's still pilot programs in all these places, so it was limited to 25 people.
Okay.
So MDOC started that program out here at the old youth court, where Pearl Youth Court used to be, out there at close to Whitfield by the prison out there, and then we raised it the next year to 100 people could participate in it, and we're increasing it a lot this time, so that a lot more can participate in it, and it would allow it allows it not only helps with education, because a lot of those guys don't have education. Even with the dyslexia, not counting for the dyslexia, they simply don't have any education. They quit school real early
for whatever reason.
Right. And so, not just guys, it's guys and gals both. I mean, male and females both that are participating in this program, and the recidivism rate on those folks that have gotten out so far is almost nil. I mean,
really? Statistically, it looks good.
Yeah, statistically, it looks real good. It looks like, the truth is, these folks, give them something to hope for, give them something to work for, give them something to do, and they stay out of trouble.
It's been very successful in Rankin County, and our sheriff's pushed it hard.
So the last 24 months is the one you can actually do
That's
it.
correct.
Your last 24 months.
I think
and
I think the new bill that we just passed takes it to the last 3 years.
36 months.
Yeah, 36
But
months.
you work in the private sector?
You work in the private sector.
So you have to get hired by a company.
Yeah, you have to get hired by a company, but here's the thing about it. So part of that is, they may be going to, a lot of these folks are going to Hines, they're going to automotive school, to diesel college, they're going over here to the contractor school and learn how to be carpenters or learn how to be bricklayers, whatever it may be, drive a concrete truck, whatever it may be. They're getting those skills and they're going out here and applying them. And you give somebody a skill and give them the ability to work, and then give them the ability to have a fresh start when they walk out of that prison. They got a chance.
Well, I can actually tell you of a success story that I know of that from this program, from the Sheriff's Department in Rankin County with Jackson Communications. Bill Roberts hired one of those guys that was living in the jail. He had to go back every night, but he was living there. But he actually works full-time now at Jackson Communications as a full-time employee. The minute he got released, he came to work, and he's a success story there.
Yeah, but there's several of those.
But he didn't have necessarily any skills. They taught him the skills at Jackson Communications, and he does installations and things of that nature. But as you said, it was coming from a pathway, getting off of that.
That's right.
That bad path, and allowing him to be a productive citizen.
Yep.
So that is successful.
That is.
It is.
And when you add to situations where they're dyslexic, and they're not able to read, and you teach them, to give them the ability to overcome that and to be able to read.
Right.
They can make a lot more difference.
How are we going to teach them in the prison? What's that look like? Is a classroom? Are they bringing in teachers?
They're bringing in. They've plugged in Hines, homes, where in cases where they're plugging in these junior colleges into these.
We have plenty of those.
They are. Yeah. We got the best junior college system in the United States.
Sure, we have plenty of those. Right.
And they're plugging those junior colleges into the appropriate places where they need to be, and they send instructors into the prisons and teach there. Burl Cain has going down that road, not only putting in schools and helping people learn, they're putting in churches. They built some new churches at Parchman out here. They're changing the person, not just housing them.
It's not just teaching them to read.
By the way, you mentioned community college. They all used to be junior colleges, and then most of them became community colleges.
Right.
Now in other states they've changed it, and I see it. We've already had 2 change it. I understand in Mississippi, they're going to be called like Hines College, Holmes College.
Yeah,
Pearl River College.
JC was JC forever.
Right.
Now they're Jones College.
Jones
They're
College.
dropping the community.
The community. It's 2-year college.
Sure. So you have a college and you have a university.
That's right.
College is 2 years.
That's
University is 4 years.
Since all of the colleges have become universities, they feel like they should be called a college. And I'm not fussing about that.
Right. Semantics.
And the better thing about that is the community colleges, junior college, whatever you want to call them, they're focusing on training people to work. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're going to junior college or community college to get your first 2 years of college, that's great. but they're putting more and more focus on getting people to work.
Trade school.
So yeah,
Workforce
workforce
development.
development. It's they're doing a lot of certificates. You know, there's certificates that you can go out there for like 4 weeks and get and go to work. And there's certain jobs that they can go to work after 4 or 5 weeks that they can make $50,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, you know, Hines College, right here in Rankin County, spending a lot of money on their new nursing program, building that new building.
Yeah, we know.
Oh, yes, sir.
I know, right? You know about it. I mean, for those that are watching that may be not aware, that Hines is investing a lot here in Pearl, and the legislature has helped appropriate money for that building that's going over there for the nursing program.
Yeah, we have a nursing shortage still, and this will help that, and it'll help some of our Rankin County students that didn't want to drive to Holmes or wherever. It's going to be nice.
This does bring me to a question that wasn't on our agenda today. We kind of touched on this the other night at a banquet. We ran into each other. The nursing bills that are out, you know, like where you're allowing nurse practitioners to work from underneath, out from underneath doctors, and what in the world?
Well, well, you guys passed a bill,
right?
It was like 8,000 hours or something. The problem is, and you can become a nurse without any clinical experience now.
I know, right? Just get the degree, and
at some places, and you can do online. But I'll let him explain what they passed. I've always said, even when I was chairman of public health, there is a compromise. If they'll work it out, where a nurse practitioner can operate independently, but they need to be so many hours of clinical experience. A doctor sent me a deal just the other day that was talking about that anywhere from 500, average nurse, 500 to 1,500 hours of clinical. And med school, you have up to 20,000 hours.
Wow.
So doctors are very much better trained than a nurse.
This does concern
they're not doctors.
Yeah, right.
And so you have to be very careful with that. But with enough experience, I think, and in rural areas where there's not a doctor.
Sure. That makes sense.
And there's not a hospital within 25 or 30 or 40 miles. You know, I think there could be something worked out there. But I've always said if you want to be a doctor, you need to go to med school.
I agree with that totally. Now, you know, being a nurse practitioner in some of these clinics that you see like MEA or Trust Care, some of these where you're dealing with common cold, flu, COVID, a lot of these things, even down to the broken arm, you know, I can see where that would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I don't think
you wouldn't
pharmacists
have to work up underneath.
I don't think pharmacist assistants should be pharmacists. I don't think. I mean, they're not. I mean, sometimes they work there so long they feel like they are.
And they do the job of one. But if you want to be a pharmacist, go to school.
That's correct. Because pharmacists often correct the doctor. The nurses often correct the doctor. Because everyone makes mistakes.
Yes, and
regardless of the type training.
Here again, I have I can share because my father going through the VA right now, having the issues that he's having. He has an esophageal problem, so he's having to do everything liquid. Well, all the medication he takes, the doctor said, let me call the pharmacy because we got to crush all these pills, or if they have it in liquid form. So he referred to the pharmacist. He didn't want to just jump out there and say, well, we're going to crush this pill, crush that pill. He's like, the pharmacist knows what you can crush.
They absolutely do. And where a pharmacist's assistant would not.
Would not know that.
That's correct.
Right. That is exactly right. So I'm a little concerned about how that's going to shake out.
Me too, but I think you
I
guys
too. I voted against it. So
you guys, they passed a bill that could possibly be amended and maybe passed. But if I were guessing, it's not really good odds that bill will pass the Senate.
I think say, does it survive?
Knowing the chairman over there, I suspect not, but we'll see. My wife's a nurse. And she simply said, with the education that they're doing these days for nurses, where you can go be a nurse and then turn around and go right into nurse practitioner school. She was not for it. So I took her advice and I voted against it. And my desk mate, the guy that sits right beside me, is a nurse practitioner, and he runs a clinic under a doctor. He's got a doctor that
collaborative
signs off on what he does.
Yeah.
And if I could say that those nurse practitioners that's going out there and going to do their own practice was Donnie Scoggins and knew what he knew and would do it the way he did it, I probably would have voted for it. But my experience around Jackson with the nurse practitioner is not it. Now, there's some really good ones.
Yes, it is.
There's some really great
how
nurse
many hours of
practitioners.
experience does Donnie have?
They got a lot of experience. But when you talk to them, and I said, well, how did you learn to do this? My doctor taught me. So, but like I say, if we're talking about Donnie Scoggins and making him self-sufficient out there, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But that's just not the way it is. That's not realistic. He's the exception, not the rule.
Sure.
So when you go to the rule, then I can't be for it. Now, you change the education that nurses are doing these days and make it more like what my wife went through in terms of nursing education, then I might be more appreciative of it.
Well, that's very true. I have a son who is a practicing nurse who is going to school for his nurse practitioner, but he works in the ER.
Yeah.
And so he has he sees well over 150 patients a day.
Yeah.
I mean, so he sees a lot of stuff. But he's working with the ER physician, and he's even told me that his physicians that work in the ER teach them a lot of things.
Absolutely.
They teach them a lot of stuff. How to diagnose is primarily the biggest thing, because that's really where it boils down to the experience on how to diagnose something. Because if you misdiagnose it, you could kill the patient.
Yep.
Well, I had one just this past week where a man told me his wife had, they had to do a C-section on her. She got home, and in a couple of weeks she was having pains and all this stuff, and she goes and sees a nurse practitioner. And the nurse practitioner told her, "You're going to be fine. That's just a little infection. It's going to be okay." Before she left, the doctor walked in and says, "Oh my God, we got to get you in emergency surgery right now." And it was something really serious.
Wow.
And so again, it misdiagnosis. And anyone could have done that. I understand that, but it was because of lack of experience.
Exactly.
And training. Yeah.
And you get plenty with hands-on, obviously.
Yeah.
And under the tutelage of a physician,
Yeah.
you learn, obviously, the things you need to know, especially if you're just a general practitioner, if you're going to be a general practitioner.
But let me say this. One of the problems that the nurse practitioner, just to be fair with both sides, the nurse practitioners are having is that a lot of them have doctors that, they have to sign off on everything they do. So they have clinics and stuff that these nurse practitioners that they own, that they're working at, and they have a doctor that's signing off on them. The problem is that doctor's about to retire.
Sure.
I know somebody here in Rankin County that's got the same issue right now, that their doctor's about to retire, and they can't find anybody to associate with.
Yeah.
So what happens then?
And we limit the doctors to the number of nurse practitioners that they can have a collaborative agreements with. So in other words, you can have, I forgot the amount, but say 5. You can only have 5 nurse practitioners that you can, as a doctor. So that's becoming a problem.
Yeah, and so we have to just figure something out with that. But I'm not sure this bill that we've got is the right way to do it.
Right,
but,
is that the answer?
But
right.
You keep chipping away at it. We'll figure something out. Not just do something.
Yeah, and we changed we got the medical board to change the rules actually a few years ago, where you had to have a doctor within 25 miles, and that was really creating a problem, as Gene was talking about. So then we went to 50 miles.
That would really be, especially like in the Delta and stuff, my goodness.
Yeah, and then we went to 50 miles, and everyone was happy for about a year or two, and they said, no, we don't like dealing with the doctors we have to deal with. So we said, anywhere in the state.
Gotcha.
So you can have a collaborative agreement anywhere.
You
If you're
can
in
be, you can be practicing
Gulfport,
in Indianola and your doctor's in Gulfport.
you can do it. You can do it as long as they send all, of course, with electronics.
But telemedicine and things of that
Sure,
nature.
it's no problem.
That's changing the landscape as well. So you have to
That's
start
correct.
including some of that. Okay, we'll keep our ear to the ground on that one.
That's a really
That's-
big issue. It
We had that
is.
discussion last show too about how I feel about beds and hospitals and certificates of need and all.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
that's a problem.
All of this is, if you look at it from the 30,000-foot view, all of that is involved in
And
this.
we've named about 4 of the
And we've-
3,000
of the three-
real issues.
Right. Oh, that's longer than we're going to have time for today. All right, so before we close, let's talk a little bit about where you are in the Senate with tax relief. The HB 1 is passed and they've sent it to you.
They
Where
have.
are you guys with the tax bill?
Well, first off, let me tell the people we're both, House and Senate both are going in the same direction. They're going a little faster than we are. But we have a bill that Senator Harkins from out the reservoir has that bill, and last week the Lieutenant Governor had a press conference and explained the differences in hours in the House. The one thing they have, and I understand why they have it. Well, let's start with they have reducing the grocery tax. So are we, but at a slower amount than they are. Same with state income tax. Yes, we also at a slower rate than they are. They have one where since you don't have a grocery tax, they have a 1.5 cents in it.
Increase.
Local tax, sales tax. We don't have that.
Okay.
We don't have that. We think that we don't have to have it, and the gas tax is a little faster. I can't remember what y'all do.
We do a 5% sales tax. All right. Now, so if you buy $100 worth of gas, you're gonna pay another $5. Theirs is they stayed with the excise tax, which is what we have now.
Yes,
and they're just increasing
3 cents a gallon for 3 years.
Okay.
Now
so it winds up being 9 cents.
It'll be 9 cents, but a gallon. Let me say this about the gas tax, and I didn't know this till recently. We're the second lowest in the nation, in the United States. Alaska is lower. That's it. I mean,
So in the lower 48, we are the lowest.
We are the lowest, way lowest.
yeah.
I'm talking about
So we don't charge near about what other states do on gas tax. And of course, gas tax is a percentage. The reason we're away from the percentage because gas fluctuates so much up and down.
It changes all the time. It's so fluid.
And you don't
No
really.
pun intended.
And you have a hard time setting a budget when
Sure.
you're not sure what it's going to
Exactly.
be. And but then the 2 cents or 3 cents a gallon, you pretty much can do it. And as I said in a meeting this morning, even that's getting harder and harder to do because more and more people are buying electric cars, more and more people are buying hybrid type cars, and the regular fuel burning cars, gas engines even are now where they used to get 8, 10, 12 miles a gallon, are getting up to 40 miles a gallon.
double or
so
and a
so
half
it's
of
less.
price.
So people are buying less gas. So it's and that's how we do our highways and bridges maintenance.
Right.
So it's
So that's going to change more than likely.
yeah.
That's going to change. It's
But
gonna
like
go
I
up.
said in the beginning, we're headed the same direction. We're just
So
a little more deliberate, I guess.
So Trump's administration, drill baby drill, we produce more would drive the wholesale cost down.
Hopefully.
And if you increase the tax on gas, whether it be per gallon or a sales tax, it would basically equal out.
Yeah, it should.
The price would not be much different than what you'd be paying now.
But no one likes potholes on the highways.
No, of course not.
And if you're going 60, 65, 70 miles an hour and hit a big pothole, you're not
I don't
happy.
need bridges collapsing.
No,
we
we've had
don't-
that.
we don't need any of that.
And we've
Right.
repaired most. And by the way, we've given MDOT a lot of money in the last few years.
And they've done a very good
And
job with it.
they've done a lot of work with it.
They've
too.
done a very good job with it.
Yeah, Brad, who's been on this
Oh
show.
yeah, Brad's done a very good job.
He's done a very good job. He's fair. He
Yes.
tries to do the right thing, and he explains to us why they need certain amounts of money in certain programs because of federal matching funds and how much they would lose. and
Would
that
both of
kind
you
stuff.
gentlemen say probably the state government's running about the most efficient it's ever run?
Yes.
in-
Without doubt.
in
Without
ever?
a doubt.
Without
Ever.
doubt, we've not only do we have the largest reserve we've ever had, but we've paid off close to $1 billion
I
in
know
debt in the
that's
last
just- that's
like
just
5
crazy.
years. So, and
The state
hopefully,
government's running very well, is it not?
yes.
That don't mean there's not still places that
Sure,
we
sure.
keep looking at to cut and do the best we can with it, but it's running way better than it's ever run before.
Don't you think the federal government could take a lesson or two
I wish they would.
Well, yeah, well,
from how we do it in our little state of Mississippi?
we do all that and still balance our budget
That's
every
what I'm saying.
year.
We balance the budget every year
Yes,
with a surplus.
yes.
Well, our Constitution says
And
it has
paying
to
off
be
debt.
balanced.
And paying off debt.
We could get off on that story with the federal government, could we not? But
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? All right, well, before I let you guys go, I did have one quick question that kind of came into my mind because it just recently happened last week. You know, Trump put out an executive order about,
He's put out a lot of executive
well,
orders.
DEI in education.
Yeah, we passed a bill.
And it was about if you're still have DEI in your school, all your federal money is going to be taken away.
And that's K through 12.
And that's K through 12.
And we passed a bill last year for universities and colleges. Same thing in the Senate. They will be.
So we're
I don't
already-
know if y'all
We have a bill in the House that does universities and colleges, but it also does K through 12. So it's a little more. It went a little bit further than theirs. So
Okay.
it's going to them. Theirs coming to us.
If I have a heart attack and I go to the hospital, I want the best doctor.
Absolutely.
I don't care if he's green, red, black,
Purple,
white,
black, doesn't
purple,
matter.
Don't make
blue.
no
I don't care. I want the best.
Yes.
And I don't want that doctor there because of he had some status and they had to have so many people. I want the best. I want the best in our med schools, and I don't care who they are. If I take my car to get repaired, I want the best mechanic I can get.
Right.
And I certainly want that with my body
I
or
agree.
my family.
I agree. 100%. So I just was wondering where we were with that since he issued. Now, there's going to be a lot of states that are going to be crying over that. But
Oh, yeah.
Our state is not one of them.
I
No.
don't think our state's going to have them to begin with.
Even though we had about a 2-hour debate on it.
Okay.
It passed. I think we got about 36 votes, actually, of the 52 in favor of the bill.
Good. I tell you, this is very eye-opening. All of our shows are very eye-opening. So if you guys are not watching this, you know, or the people that are watching, you better tell people that are not watching this. If you want to learn something about what's going on, this is the show to watch.
Yeah.
That's why we get deep into it.
And like I say, we talked about maybe 6 of the 3,000.
Of the 3,000 things that are going on,
It's a
I
lot.
know, right?
It's a lot happening.
It's a lot.
And it's very important that those people statewide elect good people that have sense enough to do what
Sure.
they want them to do, because I mean well, I don't know how to even say it. It's important to have good people in office. It's important to have a good lieutenant governor that makes committee assignments and makes good chairman. And because when you have that many bills, Gene will tell you, you're not on that committee and you haven't heard all those debates, and it comes up on the calendar and you say, oh my God, what is this? You've got to have good people you can depend on. And I think the House and the Senate both have good chairmen that you can trust. And that's the thing. I can tell you if Josh Harkins brings a bill up in finance, I'm going to vote with Josh Harkins because I know Josh and I, the philosophy is the same. We both represent people in Rankin County. He's fair, he's honest, he cares.
Right.
And
You're
he's
support
not
him.
going to do anything
Right.
without his due diligence. And so
When you say majority of the people in the Senate
yeah,
would agree that
absolutely.
they do their due diligence?
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which I think makes you both an effective body between the House and the Senate.
But I'm not saying I
very
vote for every bill because
No,
I
of
vote
course
against
not.
some.
Of course not.
Because of philosophy and because, well, honestly, what's good for Hinds County may not be good for Rankin County.
Sure.
And if the chairman from Hinds County brings it up, then I'm probably not. And I'm gonna go with.
Right.
I'm gonna dance with the girl that brought me.
Go dance the girl you took to the dance. Is that
That's right.
I got you. So just out of curiosity, how much time do you spend, not during the day, but at home at night,
Oh, my.
reading all of these?
All
bills?
of it.
How much time do you spend?
That's all you can do for those 90 days. That's all you
People always talk to me. Hey, did you see so and so on TV? I don't have any idea what they're talking about.
Right.
No,
I
and
literally
people
don't have a clue.
and even on national news while we're in session, people say, "Can you believe so and so?" I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah, somebody was talking about somebody was getting nominated, had gotten nominated. President Trump nominated to something, and I had no idea who they were talking about.
Your wife just has to tell you about it.
Yeah, and I get calls, and you do too, all the time. People say, "Did you watch Fox News?" And say, "No, I'm sitting there reading Senate bills."
You're reading Senate bills. You're reading House bills.
I'm
Is
talking
90
to
days enough?
constituents.
That's too much.
Is 90 days too much? I mean, with much work that you get done in 3 months,
It's enough.
is that enough?
Well, like I say,
Do
you got
need
over
100? Do you
So-
need-
you got over 3,000 bills, and you got 90 days stacked on
I
them.
know, right? Is that
So
enough?
so let me tell you something. You know, before when I owned part of the insurance company, my job was to keep up with all 50 states and the federal government. And you know, states like Mississippi, where there's a system that you know how it works. You know, there's deadlines. There's you know that the system is designed to kill bills. Is great. I mean, I like being in this system. I can't imagine being in Texas where the general bills are only every other year. They do appropriations every year. When you're doing general bills, you can introduce the bill on the first day or the last day.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
there's no
Totally
I think we have a
opposite
good
of
system.
what we do.
It's just no way I would be interested in doing that.
It's too hectic.
It's
And what's their time frame?
their time frame is like 120 days every 2 years for general bills, and
Wow.
and you know during those 2 years, you know you'll have people leave the legislature and new people come in, and you've got a chairman educated about your issue, and he's working to pass the bill. Session ends. Come up next 2 years later. He's gone. He left the legislature, went to work for somebody else, or whatever.
Right.
Now you have a new chairman. He doesn't know anything about your issue, and you know he could be coming in with this great idea about how he's going to change everything about your profession and do all this, and he knows nothing about it.
Yeah.
But because he's the chairman, you got to deal with it. And I mean, you saw that kind of stuff.
That would be a nightmare.
In Florida, where they have term limits. Why waste your time dealing with the legislature, because they can't do anything? The staff does it. The staff tells them.
And the lobbyists.
The staff and the lobbyists run everything down there. Their legislators are
Figureheads.
So when you get elected and you go into the House for the first year, they choose a speaker out of that group.
For the next term.
No, this is for 3 terms down. Now, you know, they get 12 years.
Yeah.
So they get 2 years, and so 3 terms down, they're going to be the speaker. How do you know who's going to be a good speaker?
How do you even know they're going to get elected?
Yeah. How do you know who's going to get reelected? But that's what you're doing. Term limits is the nuttiest thing that people ever come up with, but
It sounds good.
It sounds real good.
But we have term limits. Every 2 years we vote for you.
Every
and
four. Every
yeah,
4
years
that's
for
right.
us.
Yeah, right. Every 4, right.
But
I mean,
2 years for Congress, every 2 years.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't like Michael
That's
Guest,
called a
find
term
somebody else.
limit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
called term limits. That's
Yeah.
what you do. But you know, so we have a good system. It ain't perfect. Nothing's ever perfect.
Right.
Till you get to heaven.
And term limits sounds good also in Congress, but let me tell you, the only way you can, in a small state, the only way that you can ever get your fair share of anything is to have someone that's in leadership. And the only way you get leadership in Congress is through seniority. So if you start changing every 2, every 4, every 6, every 80 years, you're just on the back road. If you've got a good representative in Congress, which I think we do with Michael Guest, then you need to leave him in there. Let him build up some seniority. Let him help Mississippi. Yeah, but he can't when he's new. Now, he's been there, 3 terms now or 4? So he's getting there. And just leave him alone. Let him do his job. He's a good guy. He's a true Republican conservative. And are you going to agree with him on everything? No. But like I told someone, I didn't agree with my wife all the time either, but I loved her to the day she died. So
we don't always agree on everything.
Yeah,
that would be a stale planet to live on, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If we all agreed, that'd be just mind-numbing robots. But no, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Well, this is very enlightening. I've had a great morning.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming in on a holiday.
Yes, we appreciate it very much.
Wonderful. Glad we could do it.
It's just
we
really
couldn't do it the rest of the week.
Yeah, the rest of the week's not going to be easy for me.
I have a good team here who didn't mind at all.
No, we appreciate them and you coming in today.
We didn't mind at all. We're finishing up some fire stations today anyway. So
yeah.
Other than them having to be, I would have been here anyway.
Well, I will say in Rankin County, I said this morning earlier in a meeting, we have some really good legislators. I'm not counting myself as one of them either. I'm talking about all the others.
Sure.
Gene does a fantastic job. Josh does. Brian Rhodes does. Lance, Lee, Fred. I mean, they all work hard and all do a really good job. I'm just honored to be associated with them.
Even our county and city officials.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
In the county.
Yeah, we got supervisors that work together.
Mm-hmm. Mayors that work together.
Even though we supposedly compete with each other, I think our mayors all work together.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And folks don't realize it, but we meet almost every month during session, but every quarter with the supervisors, with the mayors, the legislators, county officials. We meet. And we say, what can we do to help each other? And we go around the table and I want to do this in Pearl, but I don't know. And then the mayor of Flowood may at that same meeting say, we had that problem in Flowood. Here's how we addressed it. Here's what we did. What can I do to help you? We're working together and helping each other, and that's why you're seeing Rankin County grow and progress the way it has.
And these people have had tenure too. They've been here.
They do.
They're from here. They have tenure here.
That's
they
right.
know each other. They're working together. You're not just changing over all the time.
That's correct.
Which alludes back to what you were saying earlier about when you just don't have the tenure, you kind of get pushed to the back row.
Well, you do. Because you're not because you
don't
have the experience.
It's just you don't have the experience yet.
That's right.
Sit over there and watch.
It's no different than a new job.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone, that's right. You start out as a trainee.
You do, right? But I think we have very good leadership everywhere.
I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with Rankin County and its leadership.
Good job. I think everybody does well. We need to just keep right on rolling until somebody decides they don't want to do it anymore.
That's it.
That's right.
Which is subject to happen at any moment.
As a matter of fact, I got so frustrated last week, I walked in, shut the door, told my committee assistant, I said, I just thought of a country song I like. Take this job and shove it. Because it was one of those frustrating moments, and then I thought about it a few seconds and said, okay, yeah, I think I know how to get this under control.
I think we've all been there. All of us have been there. I've been there. I've gone to my office and closed that door and just thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You just feel like you're beating your head up against a concrete wall.
And I said that this morning at the meeting also. All of these people that are in the legislature, they're not paid very much.
No.
I'm gonna tell you, they get us confused with those emotions. They make money,
right?
But we don't. And honestly, everyone in the legislature is sacrificing to be there, to make a difference.
It's true service.
It really is, and especially those from out of the Jackson area. Those people from the coast or from Tupelo or Corinth that drive 4.5 hours to get here and away from their family for those 90 days or 120 days.
Stay the week down here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And you would be surprised at the number of those that will drive 4.5 hours back during the middle of the week to go to the child's.
All the time to watch their kids.
Dance recital,
something. Turn around and drive all the way back down. For the next
they do it
morning
all the time. I know. I can tell you
They
one.
do it all the time. And
Yeah.
they,
Well,
you know,
you have one from Macomb that drives home every night,
Yeah.
every day.
I mean, a lot of them go home every night. They'll drive. I mean,
We have
80,
several
90
that
miles
drive
every day.
Yeah, we have a lot of centers that do not stay here. They go home and get up at 5 o'clock and leave so they can be here in time to be in session.
Wow.
So
That's
it's a
dedication.
sacrifice.
It's dedication. We appreciate it.
We do.
Thank y'all very much.
Well, I appreciate you and Pearl and the TV station and giving us the opportunity
Isn't
to
this
talk
fun?
to the people and tell them what's going on
Yeah, this is
because they
fun. I hope
need to
everybody
know.
learned something.
It's like a town hall meeting every
It
week.
is. It is every week. So, y'all don't run off, because when we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on in Pearl and what's happening coming up pretty soon. So, y'all stay with me. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Welcome back to This Week in Pearl. I'm your host, Frank Hutton, and so glad we had that conversation with our two elected officials this week. Man, this show is just so eye-opening, and you just learn so much. If you know people that aren't watching this show that would get some insight into what we talk about, you really should pass that on. We share this always on our Facebook page, our YouTube page at cityofpearl.com. You can find it there on our website. Our YouTube page is City of Pearl MS. You can find it there, and then also our Facebook page of Pearl Municipal Broadcasting, as well as the City of Pearl's Facebook page. So share it out with people, let them know, because there's a lot of stuff that we cover here. We really get in depth on some of these topics that affect all of us as citizens in Pearl. So you definitely want to share this out, let people know, hey, this is a good place for information. So do that if you can. All right, so what's coming up in Pearl? Well, let me tell you, the Mayor's March is coming up right now. It's a full swing of that Mayor's March. It's a canned food drive for the less fortunate, and our task here in Pearl is canned corn. I know it's like a can of corn when you talk about it in baseball, but we are supposed to raise canned corn, and this is going on only for a week. We've got a week left, and so we're collecting corn and canned corn. You can drop that off at City Hall or Senior Services. If you can, please donate to this. This is a worthy cause. Would love for you to come by and just drop off, even if it's one can. If you can get a couple of cans of corn and bring it by City Hall or at Senior Services and drop that off, we'd be appreciative of that. The last day to donate is the 21st of February. So that would be your last day to be able to drop off canned corn. Also, what's going on, Main Street Pearl, hosting their Masquerade Mardi Gras Ball. That is coming up on February 22nd, which is a Saturday from 7 to 10. It's going to be inside the Pearl Community Center. Southern Comfort Brass Band will be the feature entertainment once again. Tickets are $50 per person and includes dinner and 2 drink tickets for the bar. Tickets are also available for purchase by visiting our City of Pearl website, as well as Main Street Pearl's Facebook page. So you definitely don't want to miss that. This is a wonderful event. It is the Main Street Pearl Annual Mardi Gras Moonlit Masquerade Ball. And then last but not least, Pearl Day's coming up, if you can believe it. Pearl Day's coming up April 26th, all-day event, starting at our city park with fun activities for the whole family. More information is going to be released pretty soon. After being in the park, you can make your way over to Trustmark Park for a free concert, headliner being Bret Michaels. And opening for Brett is Warrant, the group Warrant, which I remember from my childhood as well, back in the 80s. So we're going to have Brett Michaels and Warrant performing at Pearl Day this year. Concert starts at 5:30 in the north parking lot of Trustmark Park. Also remember, bring your chairs